The forest breathed. That was Alana's first, terrifying realization as she passed the first giant balete tree. The air wasn't still. It moved in slow, deliberate tides, thick with the scent of damp earth, rotting blossoms, and something metallic like ozone after a storm. Her Lola's journal was a heavy weight in her satchel, next to her sterile medical kit. The contrast felt absurd. Antiseptic wipes and ancient prayers. She gripped the Lingling'o pendant around her neck. Its warmth was a steady pulse against her panic. According to the journal, the Engkantada's heart was not a place, but a thing. The Puno Nung Tipan, Tree of Covenant, the oldest balit in the forest, where the first village chieftain and the land spirit had made a pact centuries ago. Offerings of respect for blessings of bounty. The roots remember the promise. The recent vote to sell the land was a brutal severing of that promise. Alana moved deeper, the path dissolving into a labyrinth of hanging roots. The children's whispers seemed to cling to the leaves. Ang ganda nia, baliktad ang mga pa. Then, she found the first offering, not a recent one, a moss-covered clay jar, half sunk into the earth at the base of a great tree. An old Atang ritual offering. Further in, she saw more. Faded ribbons, a rusted bolo knife, a shell necklace. Her people had remembered once. They had asked permission. A sound shattered the silence. Not a song, but a low, grieving keen that vibrated in Alana's teeth. It came from the clearing ahead. In the center stood the Puno Nung Tipan. It was magnificent and monstrous, its trunk a small hill, its roots forming archways and tunnels, and at its base, staring at a fresh, raw gash in the bark, where a surveyor's mark had been painted, was a figure. She was tall, draped in shadows and moss that looked like a gown. Her hair was a waterfall of darkness, obscuring her face. She held a handful of rich, dark soil, letting it trickle onto the wound in the tree. Her shoulders shook with silent sorrow. Alana's breath caught. This wasn't a monster hunting children, this was a guardian watching her charge bleed. She took a step. A twig snapped. The figure went perfectly still. Then she turned. There was no beautiful, deceptive face. Where features should be was a shifting, mesmerizing pattern of dappled forest light and deep shadow, beautiful, but profoundly other. Her gaze pinned Alana, not with malice, but with a deep, weary curiosity. Engkantada, voice like wind through bamboo. Daughter of the Hilera, you wear her shell. Do you carry her wisdom, or just her ghost? Alana's voice failed her. She was a doctor. She delivered diagnoses. She didn't converse with myths. Engkantada continued. They cut. They take. They forget the song. The roots are thirsty. They drink now from the only springs left, the small, bright springs of your young. The diagnosis was complete. The illness was a spiritual drought. The Engkantada wasn't attacking. She was withdrawing her protection, and the imbalance was letting the forest's latent energy, its pain, leak into the vulnerable. Alana, forcing her voice steady, the children are innocent. Punish the mayor, the council, not them. A ripple passed through the shadow face, something like a bitter smile. The tree does not choose which branch withers when the roots are cut. The law is the law. The pact is broken. The forest takes its price. Suddenly, the Engkantada's head tilted. Her form flickered. A wave of nausea and despair hit Alana, the same symptoms the children felt, but amplified. The spirit's grief was a physical force. Engkantada, voice fraying. You hear the song now, yes? The song of ending. It grows loud. Tomorrow, the metal teeth come. They will bite the Puno. When it falls, all promises are dust, and my song will become a wail that shakes your town to stones. Alana understood. The logging wasn't just deforestation. It was a spiritual execution. The moment the chainsaw touched the Puno Nung Tipan, the Engkantada's connection would snap, unleashing a final, catastrophic wave of the sickness. Alana, thinking fast, what if? What if the pact is renewed? The Engkantada went still. The oppressive feeling lifted slightly. The chieftain's line is gone. The ones who speak for your people now listen only to the clink of metal. I am my Lola's heir, Alana said, the words feeling both true and foreign. And I am a voice for the innocent. Give me until dawn. Stop the advance of the sickness. Give me a chance to make them remember. The spirit studied her. She drifted closer, her backwards feet making no imprint on the moss. She stopped an arm's length away. The air was freezing. Engkantada, a bargain then, daughter of the Hilera. Your blood for time. Before Alana could react, the spirit's hand, cold as riverstone, touched Alana's forehead. A sharp sting, like a thorn prick. I mark you as speaker. You have until first light. Convince the stone hearts. If the metal bites the tree, the mark will not protect you. You and all you speak for will join my eternal song. The spirit dissolved into a swirl of leaves and shadow, her final words hanging in the air. The forest is listening. Alana stumbled back to town, her mind reeling. On her forehead, a faint, silvery mark like a fern frond glimmered and faded into her skin. She had a diagnosis, a treatment plan, and a terminal deadline. But her patient was an entire town, and the cure wasn't a medicine, it was a revolution of memory. The town that forgot. The town hall was packed, buzzing with tension. Mayor Delgado, a man with a smile as polished as his desk, was addressing the crowd. Maps of the logging operation displayed proudly. Mayor Delgado, progress friends, jobs, roads. This stubborn old forest has held San Isidro back for generations. Alana pushed through the doors. All eyes turned to her. She saw her mother's worried face, the fearful eyes of parents with sick children at home, and the greedy gleam of those who stood to profit. Alana, projecting her doctor's voice, the forest isn't holding us back, it's holding us together, and it's dying, and it's taking our children with it. A murmur rippled through the crowd. The mayor scoffed. Dr. Santos, with respect, your expertise is in a Manila hospital, not in fairy tales. The children have a fever. We have doctors coming from the city. Alana, the fever is a symptom. The cause is in the forest. It's the Puno ng Tipan. We broke our promise to it, and the balance is broken. She told them everything, not as a frightened granddaughter, but as a scientist presenting a case study, the consistent symptoms, the link to the forest edge, the historical records in her Lola's journal, the physical reaction of the pendant. She presented the Engkantada not as a monster, but as a natural law, a protective force that had turned punitive. Benjo's wife, from the crowd crying, "My husband is strong as a carabao, now he shakes and whispers like a child. She speaks the truth." But the mayor laughed. "Stories? You would kill our future over a story?" It was then that Alana played her final card. She asked for the oldest person in the room to come forward. Lolo Temyong, nearly 100, was helped to the front. Alana showed him the journal, open to a specific drawing of the Puno ng Tipan and the ritual of respect. Lolo Temyong's cloudy eyes filled with tears. He touched the page with a trembling finger. "My Lolo, he took me there. We brought basi, sugarcane wine, and rice. We asked to take wood for a banker, boat. The old ones knew." His voice cracked. "We have forgotten how to ask. We have forgotten how to thank." A seismic shift moved through the older generations. Heads nodded. Whispers of "Tama Shah, she's right," spread. But Mayor Delgado was unmoved. "The contract is signed. The machines arrive at dawn. This is the modern world." Alana, her voice dropping fierce. "Then the modern world will witness a tragedy it cannot explain. At dawn, when that machine starts, every child touched by this sickness will take a final turn, and then it will spread, not by a virus, but by grief. You are not just cutting trees, Mayor. You are cutting our lifeline." The meeting dissolved into chaos, families terrified of losing children versus men terrified of losing money. Alana had sown doubt, but not stopped the machinery of progress. As night fell, the mark on Alana's forehead began to itch and burn. The Ennkantada's patience was thinning. She stood at the edge of town, looking at the dark forest. She had one desperate, final idea. It wasn't in her medical texts or Lola's journal. It was a fusion of both. She would perform a ritual, not just an offering, but a surgery. If the wound was a broken pact, she would try to suture it using the town's collective memory as thread and her own will as the needle. She instructed her mother and the believing elders, "Bring the children who are sick, bring them to the forest's edge at first light. Bring every atang you can make food, song, prayer. We will not go to the Puno. We will bring the spirit of the Puno to us. We will show it we remember." It was a gamble against time, greed, and a primal ancient law. As the town split in two under a starless sky, Alana prepared her tools, herbal poultices for the children's fevers, and the ancient words of connection from the journal. She was no longer just Dr. Santos, or just a granddaughter. She was the Balin's heir, standing on the crumbling edge between two worlds, ready to perform the most important healing of her life. At first light, two forces would converge at the forest's edge, the roar of diesel engines and the fragile, gathering chorus of a town's whispered remembrance. And Alana, marked by a spirit, would have to weave them into a cure before the first tree and the first child fell.